And we're here, episode 100. Wow, what a journey it has been. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for your support. When I called it quits on the last podcast, I was told that I wouldn't be successful, that this show just couldn't happen, that I couldn't do it without the star, the expert hunter. I had no connections and I never would. Well, when you hear that stuff, you do question yourself. But my morals, wanting to be an ethical and legal hunter, is way more important than fame, connections, or trophies. And the people I wanted to surround myself with are people like me. And thanks to you guys, the podcast is bigger and better than before. We're regularly in the top 10 of the podcast charts in Wilderness. We have well over 200,000 listens and got a great community as seen at Croak Camp with a great bunch of people. I'm happy to say that with this episode, we do have a giveaway. Thanks to a listener. Johnny, a big thank you for your generosity. So head over to the Instagram and Facebook and check out the post and how you can win it. Now, I don't have any sponsors and this podcast does cost me a fair bit and I'm asking you guys to help out. So I've set up a Buy Me a Coffee page. It's on my Linktree, which can be found in the show notes, Instagram bio, or by searching Australian Hunting and Beyond Linktree. There you can make a one-time donation, or if you can't do that, even something simple like jumping over to YouTube and subscribing or sharing the podcast in some capacity. Hopefully there'll be another 100 episodes in the future, and I really appreciate your support. So thanks again, listeners, and enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt, where we talk about hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, and everything else that the great outdoors has to offer. Let's get into it.
Because Frank's not here, so now I'm going to cop it. Frank, if when you hear this, hurry up and get on. I'm actually not on the phone. I'm on my computer. I've stepped it up this time.
Are you sick?
He's always congested at night time.
I don't know. No, I'm not sick.
It's a little elf voice.
He's standing on a milk crate, I think. What a privilege to be a part of the 100th episode. What a privilege to be with you boys.
I know, boys, we're here. The big 100. And today, the biggest episode, fantastic Frodo flogs Frank. What a ripper.
That was a bloody funny one.
Frodo, how are you feeling, mate? A couple weeks in and after that great buck and beating Frank.
Well, he's taken it pretty well, I think.
He's not here. He's brushed us. He booked in, we made this date, and
well.
now he's not even here.
He seems happy that he didn't shoot anything but still got away with, I think he said something like 100 kilos of meat or something like that. So
I liken that to Lizzo, the singer. You know, all body positive until Ozempic came along and she could jab that one into her and got on it. So when he's saying he's happy not shooting a deer, I just don't know if I believe it.
Yeah, I think deep down it probably cut him.
Can I just say this before we go too much further? I've had a heap of people reaching out asking for Frank's Instagram because they want to follow him. Frank, the man.
Unbelievable. You reckon people just want to know, like, they've put a face to this person that we continue to just trash talk?
Yeah, they're like, who is this bloke that can't shoot? I've got to see what he looks like.
Is that a safety issue, you reckon? Like, if you see him in a state forest, get out of the area as quickly as possible?
No. A human's too small of a target.
Well, congratulations are in order. Tony, well done, mate. You proposed the day after Croak Camp. What a massive week for you. Congratulations, mate.
Congrats, mate. How good.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, I had to put the ring on it after.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you, boys. I had to put a ring on it after she confirmed that I could go to the next camp, snow camp. So I had to say yes.
Can I ask though, mate? Look, I was a little concerned because obviously you told us you were going to propose, and I was nervous that after dragging out Frodo's deer, you'd maybe cramp up trying to get down on one knee to propose.
Yeah, I had to use poor Zena's crutches to get myself back up.
That's your fault, Frodo.
Hey, what can I say, you know?
And Rob's here.
G'day.
Mate, looking forward to hearing your story. You took a nice little spiker down at Croak Camp, so I haven't heard the story yet, so keen for that.
No, it was it happened so early. And then yeah. So we got there, I think Finn and I, my son, got down there on the Hey, James.
James rocked up,
There he is.
late as always. Shock horror. Mate, did you just wake up? Look at that hair.
Bro, I was just about to say, how do I look?
Thank God it's an audio-only podcast.
Smashing.
No, I need
Surprisingly
a haircut.
good.
And a wash, and it's all fluffy.
It is fluffy. It's fluffy as.
Mate, thanks for coming. We'll get to you in a second.
Not as fluffy as. Let me show you something. You gotta see me.
I was just looking at that.
Does he know we're recording? I don't think he does.
Is that a raccoon?
You bet your ass it's a raccoon.
You got to make
Frank
a hat
had
out of it,
mistaken that for a
surely.
wombat.
Did
for
anyone
sure.
see similarities between that raccoon hide and James's hair?
Look at that. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'm warm.
If only the listeners
No,
could
seriously,
see.
this thing's got the best pelt you've ever, leaves a winter fox for dead. I swear to God, this is unreal.
Where'd you get it?
Back at that.
Describe it to the listeners so they can get an understanding of what we can actually see, James.
We're not recording, are we?
Yeah, we are.
I have a raccoon pelt. It's very luxurious.
It looks like a raccoon, but flatter.
Roadkill raccoon. All right, back to Rob. Let's hear about this spiker, mate.
Yeah, so took Finn down with me to Croak Camp. As listeners know, I ditched him on his birthday when I was supposed to take him for a hunt so I could go to New Zealand. But part of the deal was I'd bring him to Croak Camp. So yeah, we turned up. We got down there about lunchtime. I think it was on the Sunday. Frodo and Tony were in camp, and we quickly set up, had a bit of a yarn, and then just went out for an afternoon scout. I wasn't going to make it a big one for the first hour. I'd been driving for 1.5 days, but went back to a spot that I actually scouted out when we were down in Snow Camp last year that looked fairly good. It was a place where I saw, I went back up to the snow line on the last day and found some massive prints going down into this little creek system. And I assume they were sambar because they were the largest deer prints I've ever seen. But anyway, thought I'd go check that out. And Finn and I went for a walk, and I could have sworn I saw a bit of a flash not long after getting into the green zone, but didn't get a good look at whatever it was moving. But anyway, found this really tiny little waterhole, and just thought, oh, this looks pretty good. Went down and had a look. Heaps of sign around the edge of it. Marked it. Finished our walk down that system, and then next morning got up, went straight back there. There's a little junction, a track crosses a creek, and the creek system kind of gets a little bit deeper just after that waterhole, and you get some good observation. So Finn and I sat there while the sun came up and had a watch. Didn't hear or see anything as the sun rose, and then said to Finn, I said, "Oh, let's just walk up the creek. The wind was good for us. Back up towards that waterhole and have a little look." And I was actually going to just sit there for an hour or two and see what happened. And anyway, there's this bloody massive fallen tree, a fallen big tree trunk, and as I stuck my head around the corner, I saw this little spiker having a sip of water. And I was about 30 metres from him, and turned around to tell Finn to stop. He's getting pretty good now. He's very quiet when he follows me through the bush. And he's pretty good at picking up on my body language. He knows when to stop or whatever. But anyway, I turned around to give him the hand signal, and then as I turned back, the spiker was staring straight at me. And then it was a bit of a standoff. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to lift the rifle up. I got the safety off nice and quiet, and then just probably stared at him for, I don't know, felt like ages. It's probably about 5 seconds. And anyway, he stuck his head back down to have a sip, and that was it. Shot him in the kind of around the top of the shoulders, but I was a fair bit elevated, so it went down into his vitals. I probably could have shot a little bit lower. Anyway, he took off and ended up running probably about 50 or 60 metres, but left a very well-defined blood trail. And yeah, Finn and I waited a few minutes, and then we heard him obviously going through some thick scrub up at the top of the creek. And then just waited till we heard nothing, and then waited a few extra minutes, and then went and followed him up, and yeah, found him at the base of a tree. And that was a great start. It's the first time I've ever got a deer on the first day of a hunting trip. So it was bloody a relief, I tell you. And Finn was pumped. Finn was absolutely pumped. So we knocked the 4 quarters off him and got the back straps and filled up the backpack. And I think we were back in camp by about 9 o'clock or 9:30. And yeah, had a bit of butchering to do with those bloody wasps around.
Oh, there was heaps, wasn't there? I actually thought I saw Frodo riding one at one stage.
That was a couple.
So, Finn, so Tony, where we went for that sit and wait, and then Frodo got hay fever and had to take off somewhere, and I lost the rattles.
Hang on. I didn't have hay fever. I needed to go and relieve myself elsewhere.
Did you lose your shorts and your undies?
No, I didn't. No.
Did it involve a jet ski?
It wasn't.
I'll tell you what, were you constipated because we didn't see you again?
No, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't.
I think you had to go and poo. I think that was the reason why we didn't shoot anything when we were sitting on that log, because the amount of noise a 4.5-foot midget could make walking out of the bush to go and shit was like a mariachi band was playing, letting everything and anyone know that we were there.
Hey, I tried to be quiet, and you know what? Look, let's just clarify this now. On your last podcast, Matt, I said I was a solid 5'6". We've
Really?
confirmed it, me and my wife. I'm actually a solid 5'4".
Yeah.
So that's it. It's out there for everyone now. They know how tall I am.
What you lack in length, you gain in accuracy.
Yeah, that's it. It's because I'm closer to the ground. There's less movement, so that's why I can hold the rifle a bit steadier.
Hold on, I'm just doing
That's
some
gravity.
maths here. Your rifle would nearly be as tall as you. When it's slung on your shoulder, does the butt hit the ground?
Not quite.
I actually think he could pole vault off that 6.5 Creedmoor of his that me and you carried around, Matt.
So that's why I asked you to carry it, because I didn't want you to see me dragging it across the ground.
Okay, well, in saying that, I had to go back and get my rattle pack. So I'm not going to lie, we found a good spot that you guys like the look of, and so did I. And we sat there for a sit and wait, and fantastic spot. A fox came through, and we were rattling, and we were hearing some croaking, and all of a sudden we hear some noise coming down the trail, and I got super excited.
Yeah, well, so did I. My heart started racing when we could hear the crunching coming through, and to be able to realize just how powerful, like, being dressed in camo is, and just breaking up, what we look like to the animals was crazy. Because, long story short, the crunching got louder, and then my heart kept racing, getting more and more. And then, sure enough, I seen a bit of brown, and I was like, "Holy shit, we're on here!" And where me and Matt and Anthony were sitting on this log, just there was a gully, and probably 25, 30 meters across was this opening into the bush, and seen a bit of brown, and I had my gun, and I put one in the spout, and I thought, this is it. We're getting one before Frank. And that was the first thing that went through my mind, was like, this phone call is going to be magical. But anyway, I hadn't pulled the gun up at that point, and I seen a bit of brown, and I thought, do I? And then I seen this mane, and it was a damn Brumby, big bastard, and he was. We didn't move, and he started walking out, and sure enough, the game trail goes around through the gully and then back up across mine and Matt's feet. And it wasn't probably until they got 10 meters away that Matt, started to wave his blaze hat, because if he didn't, they were going to walk straight over the top of us. And then he got real angry and started hissing and farting, and we're like,
Yeah, sorry about that.
So yeah, long story short, they were just brumbies, but it was quite awesome. Even that fox, he did not know we were there at all. Our scent was heading in the right direction, and it would have been perfect if a deer came out of there because we would have definitely been able to have a good shot. But just being able to sit there in your camo and just watch nature take its course was pretty cool anyway.
So is that where was that where Finn and I came across you, Matt, when you were going back to pick up your caller?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec, Rob. So highs and lows of hunting. So we had those horses and whatnot, and then we gave it about 15 minutes or so, and we started rattling again, and we started to get more noise from our left, which again I got super excited about. And I'm sitting there going, "Here we go, it's on again."
Matt was using his croak call, and that croak call was good to bring a hunter in, but not a deer, unfortunately.
Yep, came straight at us. Was telling us he was hearing croaks, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was me. Because he came over and we were having a chat with him, I actually placed my rattles down, and that's why I sort of left them there, because we sort of just went, oh, well, let's get out of here now, because it's the place is centered up and it's probably pointless now, and it's getting very close to last light. That is where, Rob, I saw you the next morning, and I actually didn't realise it was you. I actually thought it was a giant man next to our little Frodo. It's funny, isn't it? Because you actually gave us a wave and you sort of said which way you were going, and I didn't even put two and two together and realise that it was you and your son.
Yeah, well, I couldn't believe how much blaze you were wearing. I actually had to put my sunnies on when I was trying to give you field signals of where we were going.
Jeez, mate, I'll tell you what, if I could actually get orange zinc and paint my whole body and skin orange, the amount of gunshots I heard that were so damn close to me.
No, I definitely like to, I definitely put a bit of blaze on Finn, that's for sure. Make sure that you can see it from every direction, which is what you're meant to do anyway. But I go a bit overboard with him.
Yeah, fair, cool. I go a bit overboard with myself. I actually started Googling ghillie suits in bright orange. I will look like a Teletubby that's bright orange the next rut if there's that many hunters in the bush around me again.
Just don't walk out in front of Frank, Matt. He might mistaken you for something else.
There was more than enough hunters in that space, and I tell you what, there was just so many gunshots that I was hearing. I mean, that night I was out with you, Rob, we heard plenty of shots and in very close proximity.
Yeah, easy. And then on the way out, probably saw 5 or 6 cars too. And then, there's probably people that left earlier than us. Yeah, it's just a concentration too. Like, it's a relatively easy, accessible part of the forest. And I think especially when you're hunting the low light times, people don't want to go too far off the beaten track, I guess, when they're moving through the dark, or that they don't want to do a carry out too far in the darkness. But yeah, I mean, I think the system works all right. I would say that the large majority of hunters are pretty picky, and we've all had that thing where you see a horse and you think it's a deer, but then you double triple check and then you find out it's a bloody horse, and if that horse is wearing blaze, you obviously wouldn't shoot it. So I think it works mostly.
Well, you say that, but what about the dog that was just shot down in Vic? It was a specific hunting breed, decked out, and I think the hunter or owner of the dog was like only 10 metres behind him, and the bloke shot him from like 50 away. Yeah,
that was different. That was not a good story.
Yeah, it's pretty ordinary. I mean, that's pretty heartbreaking for the owner, and obviously wouldn't even have looked like a wild dog, being a gun dog breed, an indicating dog breed, sorry.
I actually think it's probably more of a problem with the hunter concentration when you have like a forest like Bago has a relatively large amount of people allowed, but they're naturally going to converge on certain parts of the forest. Whereas you have somewhere that might have 10 to 15 hunters allowed, but if the whole forest is good to hunt, then you probably get a better spread, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that also forests that board really good, state forests that book out really quickly, people book into them and try and go to the area sort of opposite or as close to those better forests.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
I was actually thinking about that for next year where we camped. I think we might do the same forest or a different forest, but if we do the same forest, I don't think we go back to that area because it was just so pressured that, mate, where we went that last afternoon and there was just so much sign and scrapes and croaking going on, but they'd been pushed out of the forest into those exclusion zones just because so much hunter pressure, which you got a bit of a taste on when we chased in that buck that was croaking.
Yeah. Nah, mate, that was amazing, man. That was one of the most enjoyable afternoons of hunting I've ever had, even though we didn't get one. So, on my last afternoon there, I went out with Matt. Finn was with me, and it's actually the first time I've hunted with anyone other than my son. And yeah, we went out to a little spot that Matt had. He was kind enough to share it with me. And we went along and there were just scrapes everywhere. We were walking up to this spot. The wind was relatively consistent. And as we got to kind of the top of this little bit of a knoll, and it was really like the concentration of where a lot of the scrapes were, and you could see what little gullies they were coming from. And then we heard this croak. And we croaked back a bit, did a bit of a rattle, and then Matt said, well, when in doubt, chase the croak, and that's what we did. We bloody went straight at it, and it was just going off, and it was still pretty light, like it wasn't getting close to dark yet.
That was at about 3:30. I think we had still like a good 2.5 hours left of shooting light.
Yeah. And I don't think he moved much. I reckon he stayed behind that massive tree the whole time, but we kept closing in over time, and he just kept going off, answering our calls. We rattled, we'd be quiet for a bit, and then he'd stir it back up again. It was so good, and we got right in pretty close, and then I reckon we were maybe about 50 metres when we first saw him. I got a bit of a glimpse. Matt had let me go forward a bit, and Finn stayed back with Matt. And I got a bit of a glimpse, but there was just this massive tree. Like it would have been a good, over metre diameter tree trunk, and there was a heap of fallen crap around it. Just the perfect spot for them to sit in and croak. I knew that's at that stage where I saw him, I was like, oh, this is getting close to the border of Mooragle North, which I didn't have a permit for. Had a quick check on the map, and there was a creek line behind it that was the border. And anyway, tried to close the gap a bit. And I mean, I'm telling this story quick, but this all happened over like a good hour. And the ground was super crunchy, so just sneaking our way in. And then, I just could not I knew exactly where he was, and he was still croaking away. But there was just so many little skinny trees, branches, heaps of loud stuff on the ground. And anyway, tried to get a bit of an angle on him, and then he ended up taking off straight down into that creek. And then I watched a couple of does follow as well on the other side of the gully that the creek formed, which obviously just outside the boundary, which was a bit disappointing, but it was just such a good afternoon. And it was awesome for Finn to experience that as well. So him and I heard a few croaks when we went up to the Nundle area with the other lads later in the week, and we'd heard a few croaks in the darkness before shooting time when we were at Bago. But for Finn to hear that and see us calling back and forth, it was awesome to share it with you, and he was stoked too. So I thank you for that, Matt, because I know that you and I yet to shoot a buck. I think it was very gracious of you to let me have a crack at that one.
No, good, mate. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It's so much fun just hearing it and chasing it and sneaking in on it. And I reckon we spent a good, hour doing so. And that really time just flew.
It did, yeah. It just flew.
But like, how cool is it? I've done that a few times now, just chasing the croaks and getting close in on them. And look, it hasn't paid off just yet, but it is so much fun. And being able to watch you do that for the first time and with Finn is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
And it was awesome with Finn. Just obviously we stayed back while you were trying to get close to that buck, and we were just whispering and talking about different things, and he was asking a lot of questions. So that was a great experience.
Yeah. Even just like experimenting with different, it's the first time I've taken a caller into the forest and just mucking around with different sounds and, you know, matching the buck versus kind of trying to, I don't know, act like a little bit less of an alpha to him and see if it stirs him up or whatever the case may be. Like, it was good to experiment with that and see what kind of fired him up and what made him go quiet for a few minutes. Just bloody awesome, awesome knowledge to, you know, lock away there for next time. It's bloody good.
Yeah, mate, I had an absolute blast hunting with you. So we have Mr. Person. He interrupted at the start, I should say. James?
Yes, that's me.
How'd you go? You didn't come away for crow camp, but how'd you go?
Pretty quiet. Yeah, got out a little bit. Yeah, pretty quiet. What did I do first? So I did a weekend with some fellas, some friends, and we went and hit up a little area of state forest that we accessed through some private property. High hopes for deer, reds. They are in the area, so it wasn't, you know, just a turkey shoot. But yeah, we sort of didn't get onto anything. We had a really good hunt. Climbed a big hill, big mountain, big climb. The joke of that trip was because it was wet too. We had a wet weekend as well. So we were in the rain all day. And we climbed some steep stuff, real steep, and just like I think 500 meters elevation. And we're halfway up the hill and someone goes, "Whose idea was this again?" We're like, yeah. And
last time I said that, I think we were carrying the 6.5 Creedmoor of Frodo's, Tony.
Well, that was your idea.
Well, you should have seen some of these hills, mate. They were like 45 degrees. We were just going like straight up. And because of the weather and it was all rainy and foggy and that, like you looked off the side of the mountain and you couldn't see the ground underneath you. You were just like looking, you were in the cloud, you know? And because the ground just was so steep, like you're just like looking down, it's just like drops off. And yeah, that was a joke of the trip. I forget who said it, but you know, to make us feel better, it's like, just pretend it's like New Zealand, but with snakes.
To cut
We
you
can
off
see
quickly,
snakes, but yeah, New Zealand's got no snakes. That's a really cool thing about New Zealand. There's no snakes. Lots of big mountains. But yeah, that was a joke of the trip. Hey, it's just New Zealand with snakes. That's all right. We found a little bit of sign, but not certainly not enough to keep us excited. Yeah. So I mean, there's some getting through there. We know of them being in the, you know, adjacent valleys and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we had a stab at it. We had to go and have a look. So you know, we had a good time regardless. Like I said, it was a wet weekend, but we were fortunate enough to the property manager on the place we were camping on said, "Hey, there's a hut there you can stay in if you want instead of camping." So that was pretty good. We had dry beds and wood fire and cooking inside and yeah, plenty of shelter. So yeah, it ended up being a really good weekend no matter what. But yeah, no deer seen. But yeah, no, good adventure anyway. And then after that, I went out to a Central West Forest where I've got some property access out there, but you don't really see deer on that place. It's more for small game, but there is reds getting around in the forest there too. Again, not in huge numbers, but they are there. Like even the property owner said, "Oh, you know, when they drive through the forest, they see them from time to time." But again, I saw a bit more sign on this trip than I did with the last one. I was by myself for this trip as well, and yeah, it was very dry out there at the time. I think they've had a bit of rain since, but like super dry. Like even, you know, hunting the pine forest was nearly noisy, which that's pretty dry. Like there should have been mushrooms out and everything, and there was none to be found. And yeah, so I did find a little bit of sign. A bit of fallow and a bit of reds, but yeah, again, not enough to keep you real excited.
So just going back on the excitement there, James, listening to Fantastic Frodo's episode this morning. Great way to start the podcast with that funny story of your jet ski adventures,
Yeah.
Tony. And I couldn't help but thinking when he got so excited, jumping up and down on that front seat and still not hitting his head on the roof. But it was like a little Coke bottle that you shake up and just pop, and him, the Zamba. That's how excited he was.
You know what I said to because when Frank saw that video, he goes, "Oh yeah, you were pretty excited." And I said, "Frank, all I'm going to say is thank God you weren't sitting in the back seat, because you would have glued me and your brother to the windscreen. You would have been that excited."
No, James,
And you know what? He agreed.
James, you mentioned that when we were away at Croak Camp, you went away with your mates and it was pissing down rain. I'm starting to get this, it's all adding up now. Last time we went away with you, it was 30 mil of snow. And then this time you go away and it's pissing down rain. I don't think you should come with us.
Well, the trip after I had perfect weather. It was perfect weather, but it was dry out there.
We had perfect
I don't
weather.
normally bring the weather, mate. It's all right.
Come on, James. You can't go to the Simpson Desert and go, it's dry.
Hey, James,
I
listen.
almost got onto a bore out in the pines there. I found this little stretch of like little bit of cleared sort of grassy area with blackberries and stuff down the guts of a pine block, and that's where I saw some fallow sign, some red sign. Not super fresh, but it was better than seeing nothing, And then I'm walking through, and this is how dry it was. Like, I come up to this patch of about, 5 meters sort of diameter of pig diggings, and the dirt underneath, like the dirt in the diggings, was just dry as bone. So I'm thinking, oh, well, this is old sign. Turns out 3 meters away, there's a boar sitting in the bushes watching me. And I take another step and he takes off. I'm like, oh, shit, pig. Righto. So I sort of ran around the side to see if I could get a shot at him. And, just what he was already hiding in was just that thick. I don't know what sort of bush that was. And then it sort of transitioned to blackberries, and it was just, but I was pretty sure he didn't run out the other side through the pines and totally escape. He was still hiding in there. So I was looking at a way if I could see in there or see if I could find him. And then for like a little bit, I entertained the thought of like crawling into one of the tunnels through the blackberries, go and see if I can get him. And I thought, no, that's a bad idea.
No, let him go.
If he comes running out, there's no way. There's nowhere else to go.
Look, if you were Frodo, you probably could have walked through the tunnel, so yes, but for the rest of us, no.
Mate, I could have chased after him.
So I circled around to see if there was any sort of angle or any way I could find him, because I had this gut feeling he didn't get out the other side. And sure enough, he was on the edge again, and he took off and ran back into the middle. And I just thought, I'll never get him out of there. So I kept moving on from there. But that was about the excitement of those couple of little trips. But I'm not too worried about that. Like, I wanted to chase reds, and when I go down South Sandbar, I've got myself onto a local block about 5 minutes away from home with fallow on it and the occasional reds as well, but probably more likely to get fallow there. So I can sort of, muck around there for getting a fallow for meat and sort of not have to worry about when I do go away, like thinking, oh, well, I better shoot something for meat if I don't see a red or a sandbar, So that's a bit of the plan at the moment.
Yeah, nice, James. So back to Rob, because, mate, I wanted to touch on, you left Croak Camp successful, and then you went up to another camp, the Superior Camp, as Frank calls it. What happened there?
Yeah, mate, we got another one. We so I only had 2 days permit for 2 days up there. So I like to hunt I didn't hunt Nundle. I was in a forest east of Nundle. I know people think Nundle's the bee's knees in the New England region, but I'm telling you now, just go a little bit further east, and there are some bloody good spots around there. And anyway, we had a couple of days there, and Finn and I had been down there about 6 weeks earlier, and missed out on a buck. Finn could see it, but I couldn't. And then by the time I saw it, he ran off into those fern-looking things that they like to hide in. So anyway, we were making our way up to that spot again on the first day there, first afternoon. In the morning, we went to a little favourite gully of mine that never fails to produce. I've had some decent bucks on there on trail cams, but I've only ever taken meat deer in that gully, but have a very good success rate in there. So sat on that in the morning, saw the world's smallest deer, so we didn't take that. But anyway, that afternoon we went to walk back to where Finn and I had seen the buck. And yeah, we're walking right on the edge of the forest boundary, and it bounds some private property. And there's this super old vehicle track that goes up along the fence. So you can walk very quietly along it, and you just get all these nice little, like every kind of 20, 50 meters, if you walk off the track, you just get these nice little clear areas of observation back into the state forest. So we were going super slow up this trail, purposely got there early and planned to take, an hour to walk about 1 kilometre. And then we were just going to sit and observe where we'd seen the buck on the previous trip. And I think we're about probably 2/3 or 3/4 of the way up. We'd been going for a while, and we'd just gone off the edge of the track and sat down, and we watched for 15, 20 minutes or so. And then we got back up, and in the metre or so before you get back on the track, it's a bit noisy with the the drive edge. And all of a sudden, this bloody deer has popped up probably 30, 40 metres from us and run left back into the forest. So that got my attention. And then I saw up the hill on the right side of the fence in the private property, 4 deer, 2 bucks, 2 does start legging it, and they were kind of coming towards the state forest, and at the top of the hill there's a big corner. So we were going up a track, and then the fence and the boundary turned left. And they kind of went towards that corner, and I was just thinking, oh God, please jump the fence and get back in the forest. And anyway, they kind of did a bit of a right turn and veered away from the forest. And then this other friggin' deer pops up about 50 or 60 metres just on the left, but then runs towards the private. And it just stopped. It stopped a metre before the fence. God knows why. But it decided not to jump, and it was just enough time for me to smack it. Got through both shoulders, and it just instantly dropped. And then, anyway, I quickly got another round in the chamber, and I actually legged it up the hill a bit because I knew it wasn't going anywhere to try and see what those 2 bucks are doing. But they were long gone. They were bloody long gone. But again, it was a nice little doe. So Finn and I cut that one up. We still had plenty of light left because we'd left heaps of time, and actually ended up deboning it there as well, because by this stage, the angle had a bit of meat in it. I didn't want to go back and have to butcher it up at night, so we had time and took the time to give Finn a bit of a lesson on how to get a rear leg off and how to get all the meat off the bone. And Finn was obviously pumped. You get so excited when you get one on the deck, especially because we had we had 3 trips, Finn and I, before I finally got a deer. So yeah, you still get super pumped when we get one. Anyway, we knocked that over, and then we ended up sitting and just had a magic spot, and the wind was freaking perfect all afternoon, just in our face the whole time. But the buck didn't show. Which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, and then we had a few good other hunts the next day. Next morning, bit of croaking. It was kind of back towards my favourite gully, but again, the buck was just over the edge of the boundary, so obviously we let that one go, but well and truly marked that spot, and did a real good scout around the boundary as well. And I think I found a few spots where he's coming and going into the gully that I normally hunt. So I think the gully that I normally watch is more of a feeding area than a bedding area. So I might just have to change the way I approach that in the future. But bloody good times. We had such a good week, the two of us. I had to bring 2 deer home. We shot a real healthy looking pig too, where we got the deer, about another 100 to 200 metres up the track. Yeah, it was a bloody awesome trip.
Putting 2 and 2 together again, Rob, I just, from last trip at Snow Camp to this trip, I won't mention names, but there was a certain local that became quite fond of you then. And this trip, I believe you had a friendly neighbour at the campsite too. That there was a man there quite enthusiastic on washing his clothes every single day, but not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think we're safe to probably talk about him. I couldn't imagine I think he's pretty off grid, that bloke.
What were your thoughts, Rob?
Oh, mate. I don't know why.
You
I
attract
don't know why.
Rob, don't you?
I'm so good at making friends, but anyway.
You're a friendly looking fella, mate.
He might have just been using me to get to you guys. I don't know.
Well, when you left, mate, he moved. He moved further away from us. I'm actually not joking, mate. When you left, he moved like 50 metres further away and set up a new clothesline and just sunbaked and watched his clothes dry for the rest of the trip.
I was almost going to ask him if he'd wash our clothes because, he had nothing else on all day, obviously.
The strange part was we'd go out in the morning and we'd come back in the afternoon. He'd be doing the same thing. It was getting hot water, washing his clothes, putting water over them on the clothesline. He'd sit down in his chair and tan all day. And he'd come back in the afternoon and he's still doing the same thing. And that was for 5 days straight.
Well, for someone who hardly wore clothes, he had a lot of friggin' washing to do.
Let me tell you, that's why I started to worry if they belonged to him or the people he was getting in the forest. So,
yeah.
You know what? I reckon he saw us and went, nah, too hard basket. They've all got guns.
Yeah.
But we had it. We had it all. We had it all going. You had a dog trying to attack you too, Matt.
A dingo.
Yeah, old mate. I'm blaming Gary on that one. I think he spoke to him and he sort of became friends. And look, he was a nice enough fella. Like, he kept coming over and asking us about our hunts and if we were successful. And there was one morning he sort of said, look, mate, I'm just going to camp over here, and ended up driving straight through our fire. And he's sleeping in the back of his car on an angle on this hill, right in the middle of all of us. I know, I think it was Joe did a amazing job at trying to, move him on, and sort of said to him, oh, look over there, mate, there's a fire pit and a really good spot there on its own. And yet, no, old mate didn't want a bar of it, thought, I want to camp in the middle of you guys, which was, fantastic. But yeah, one of the mornings, I literally just started walking up to go to the toilets, and old mate's dog has just come flying at us, growling and barking, and it pulled up at maybe 2 meters away. I sort of just, yelled and put my arms out and make myself as big as possible. And he's he sort of stopped and backed off, and old mate's up at the thing calling him, and he ended up going up and he's going, oh, it's all right, mate, he won't do anything. And as I'm sort of walking to the toilet stool and it's next to him, still growling and wanting me to go, I said, come on, mate, I think you probably should put it on a leash. I think that's also after the day before it attacked another damn dog at the campground. I mean, how hard is it to respect other people's boundaries and, be just a bit respectful? So, yeah, I just don't know. Some people.
Well, it's either stay with the serial killer and the dog attack, or stay in 300 mil of snow. Which one are we going to choose? I mean, this group of boys here, we all bonded through trauma, sadly, but it sticks. It sticks.
Technically, we didn't even do a night in the snow. We bailed.
Well, we haven't even sat around a fire together yet.
Well, we almost did that night. The snow was putting it out, wasn't it? Hey, Rob, I wanted to ask Rob, how old is Finn?
He's 10.
Oh,
He's
cool.
10, yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No,
He gets around the bush all right, keeps up with you?
Oh, yeah. He first time I went out hunting, I took both my boys. His brother's a couple of years older. And obviously, I had no illusions of getting a deer. I just wanted them to enjoy it and come back another time. And they were, may as well went through with the bloody, what do they call them? They go to the NFL, those big marching bands. May as well had one of them following me around. Second time he was a bit better. And geez, we did some Ks. We were doing, because I was doing a bit of a scout on that hunt. And we were doing about 15 Ks a day, and he just kept up like a trooper, didn't complain. And then by the third time we went out, he was real good, super quiet. Would stop when I stopped.
Yeah, cool.
Keen as too. No, give him a nudge at 4:30 in the morning when it's freezing cold, and he's already got his gear lined up and his swag ready to go, and he just gets it on and gets in the car and he's ready to go. So, no, he's going well.
You'll have to get him to give Tony some tips on how to get up in the morning and come out hunting.
I'm telling you, he's a little champion, mate. Like, you know, at that age, he was still one of the boys. He's there cooking his own food. Like, you've bloody done well, Rob. He's a bloody little champion.
No, that's a good thing too. He's so keen. You get back the night after getting a deer, and he just won't have a bar of sausages or steak or anything. He's like, no, cut me some chunks of the backstrap off and put them on the fire. That's all he'll eat. But he cooks me dinner. Good. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I will say I've lost a little bit of faith in him. That video I got sent that when Ian gave him a hat and he discarded the Australian Hunting and Beyond hat that quickly, I thought your windscreen was going to smash, mate.
I'll tell you the background of that one, mate. I'll tell you the behind the scenes. So Finn and I are about to leave. We're sitting in the car. Finn's in the passenger seat. And Finn had been wearing the Hunters Campfire, the Australian Hunting and Beyond cap.
The one and only in existence, I want to add.
The one, number one on the merch store invoice.
Do you wear the right one at the right camp, or do you wear the opposite one just to stir people up? No,
he's a shit stirrer. So he was wearing Matt's hat at Ian's camp. And Ian didn't want to be outdone. So we were about to drive off and he waves me down. And he comes over with the Frank, as he calls it. The blaze orange with their logo on it, and he goes, "Get that shit off your head, mate." And he hands him the hat, and Finn just dropped it like it's hot and got the new hat on and was so pumped. And then Ian's like, "Oh, give me that back," and he goes, "I'm going to film that. We're going to replay it." So it was actually a staged video.
So Tony mentioned trauma there earlier, and oh man. So let me take you back. It was the Easter long weekend and we were headed away to a farm stay to camp with our good mates, and they were behind us towing their caravan, and we had the camper trailer, the whole family in it, and we're driving up over the mountains to go to this farm, and I'm driving along, and I was actually on the phone to Frankie, and I'm driving along and I sort of feel this sort of bump up, you know, when you sort of stall a car and it sort of just gives you that sort of little jolt. And that didn't really make sense because we were sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, going uphill, would have been doing 20 Ks an hour, maybe max 30, which I highly doubt. And sort of felt this little shudder, and the wife has sort of gone, "Oh my God, the trailer's flipped." And I've sort of gone, "What?" And I've looked in the rear view mirror and all I see is my hunting/camp trailer completely on its side, rooftop tent on it, like the side, and just went, what? And I said to Freddie, I said, "Mate, I'm going to have to call you back." And luckily enough, I was able to pull over because it was like the little slip lanes that you have. So I was able to pull over, drag the trailer off the side of the road. I felt extremely, just felt sorry for everybody in there because it was up at Wentworth Falls and there's 2 lanes and it was just Easter weekend. Oh my God, the extra traffic that I caused was unreal. But for the people that, I do apologise for those people, but luckily enough is that the fireys were sort of there within minutes because they were actually on the other side of the road, and my best mate was behind us. And we don't actually know how it happened. It's sort of just flipped. We think potentially that, I guess, something that holds on the sort of the suspension has broken away, and that sort of is just that release of energy has just pushed it over its side, and it completely ripped the axle well and truly off the trailer. So my poor wife, all she wants to do is go camping, and this is the 3rd attempt that we've tried to get out. The first one, it was a nightmare, and we drove home at 3 a.m. The second one, the little fella spewed in the middle of the bed and kept spewing. And then this one, it's I thought they said good luck comes in 3s, or maybe it's bad luck comes in 3s. Well, now I've got no camper. I have no idea how I'm camping at all for future hunts. Man, it's it's not a good situation. And, what do you do?
Definitely no link between your mate back at the Bago camp with the clothesline and your camper. You sure? I don't know.
Maybe he tinkered with it, who knows? But I actually feel more sorry for my poor wife because all she wants to do is go camping. And now this has happened. I actually don't know how we're going to do that. And it was insured, but we're not going to get anywhere near the value of what it's worth. And to replace it, there's going to be nothing close. So I don't think we're going to actually be able to afford to do that at all, which really sucks. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go camping, and I don't know what to do from here. We went to the Caravan Camper show on the weekend and just went, oh, man, the pricing, yeah, they're well out of our reach. So I have no idea.
Nah, mate. That was such a good little rig too. Such a good rig.
Oh, it was, and I'm absolutely devastated. It was perfect for hunting.
Yep. Just pull up, drop it off, set it up, still got the car to get out on the tracks. Yeah. Is anything salvageable from it?
Look, all the gear was actually fine. So even though that it flipped over, I think because it happened at such low speed that inside nothing was damaged. It was just more externally. The shower awning was completely written off. It actually protected the rooftop tent. So the rooftop tent is the aluminium Kings one, and it's only got like 3 scratches on it. So that was sort of a good thing. So realistically, it's just the trailer and the toolbox that was on the front of the trailer that has all the cooking gear, et cetera, and then, but that's the biggest issue because now we've got the tent, we've got everything that was inside, and nothing was damaged except for the Coleman Hyperflame Gladiator, the little cooker. That was just dented in, so that took the brunt of sort of moving around, I guess, and getting bashed around on the bottom of things. But overall, it's the trailer's a complete write-off, but all the gear inside, there's nothing wrong with any of it.
I think it's funny that it's blizzard proof, but it's not driving in traffic proof.
Oh, 100%. The funny thing is I say I'm unlucky, but then I look at it from a different perspective and go, I'm super lucky because the damage it created at 20 k's an hour uphill, holy crap, we just finished driving 30 minutes earlier or maybe a bit more at 100 k's an hour. What if it had failed then? You're probably talking that we're not here anymore. So at the end of the day, that's probably a lot better result than what it could have been.
Have you got any plans for what's next?
Mate, no idea. It was insured comprehensively, so we'll just wait to see what year we come back with and then just make a decision from there. But at this stage, I think I'll be swagging it, and the poor family won't have much to do, I don't think.
I think Matt's going to sell foot picks, try and get himself into a bigger camper. After going to the Caravan and Camping show, you think you looked at the missus and said, well, honey, it's time to get a pedicure. I think these toes are going on the market.
Mate,
That's it. You may as well put your OnlyFans link out there, mate.
Yeah. There'd be a niche you can target for sure. There'd be someone that's into you.
I'll pay you money so I don't have to see it.
If there's anyone out there that doesn't want to see my foot pics, please go check out my buy me a coffee on the link tree because I don't really want to put those little ugly bad boys out there. I'm more concerned about snow camp now, having to maybe swag it on the ground. That's nowhere near as nice as my camper trailer and being up high and warm. So I'm that's not going to be fun.
Just remember who slept through the blizzard and Rob trying to claw his way out. And he was in a little swag in the simple little setup and he was almost a bug in a rug and just off with the fairies dreaming. You'll be right in the swag, mate. You'll be fine.
Maybe it's my own fault saying it was bulletproof after what we went through at Snow Camp and this is sort of payback.
I'd be more worried if we stayed at the same spot as we did at Croak Camp and old mate's still there with his serial killer vibes and you're sleeping on the floor this time. Oh.
Well, there it is. Episode 100. 101 is just around the corner and plenty more to come. So if you're enjoying it, I do appreciate any support that you can give out there. All right, legends. Catch you next time. You've been listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt. Thanks for tuning in and can't wait to catch you next time. But in the meantime, if you want more, you can find it at linktr.ee/Australian Hunting and Beyond. That will give you our YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. We'll catch you next time.